In the pre-dawn darkness of January 3rd, U.S. forces executed a rapid, high-intensity operation deep inside Venezuela, later referred to by officials as Operation Absolute Resolve. Precision strikes targeted radar sites, command hubs, and surface-to-air missile installations concentrated across the country's northern corridor and around the capital, even as U.S. Special Forces homed in on the main target. The teams reached the presidential compound, breached multiple defensive layers, and took Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores, into custody. What was stunning is that, even though Venezuelan military was anticipating a U.S. operation, it couldn't do much. Reports are now emerging that U.S. forces used secretive weapons to neutralize Nicolás Maduro's security guards. Rumors and unverified accounts from Venezuela have made their way on the internet. In this video, Defense Updates examines possibility of U.S. Special Forces using secretive weapons to debilitate Maduro's guards. Before we proceed, a word on NordVPN, which is one of the most trusted and fastest VPN brand that has a no-log policy validated by Deloitte. NordVPN provides a 256-bit encrypted tunnel that protects your privacy and also enables you to access contents that are blocked based on geolocation. Its threat protection system helps you avoid phishing, scams, and malware. NordVPN application is available for all the major platforms as well as browsers. Get an exclusive NordVPN deal with massive saving by going to nordvpn.com/defense or clicking the link in the description. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Mike Netter at NetterMike posted an account on X, which has also been cited by White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, and is quoted as follows. This account from a Venezuelan security guard loyal to Nicolás Maduro is absolutely chilling, and it explains a lot about why the tone across Latin America suddenly changed. Security guard. On the day of the operation, we didn't hear anything coming. We were on guard, but suddenly all our radar systems shut down without any explanation. The next thing we saw were drones, a lot of drones, flying over our positions. We didn't know how to react. Interviewer. So what happened next? How was the main attack? Security guard. After those drones appeared, some helicopters arrived, but there were very few. I think barely 8 helicopters. From those helicopters, soldiers came down, but a very small number, maybe 20 men. But those men were technologically very advanced. They didn't look like anything we fought against before. Interviewer. And then the battle began? Security guard. Yes, but it was a massacre. We were hundreds, but we had no chance. They were shooting with such precision and speed. It seemed like each soldier was firing 300 rounds per minute. We couldn't do anything. Interviewer. And your own weapons? Didn't they help? Security guard. No help at all, because it wasn't just the weapons. At one point, they launched something. I don't know how to describe it. It was like a very intense sound wave. Suddenly, I felt like my head was exploding from the inside. We all started bleeding from the nose. Some were vomiting blood. We fell to the ground, unable to move. Interviewer. And your comrades, did they manage to resist? Security guard. No, not at all. Those 20 men without a single casualty killed hundreds of us. We had no way to compete with their technology, with their weapons. I swear, I've never seen anything like it. We couldn't even stand up after that sonic weapon or whatever it was. Interviewer. So do you think the rest of the region should think twice before confronting the Americans? Security guard. Without a doubt, I'm sending a warning to anyone who thinks they can fight the United States. They have no idea what they're capable of. After what I saw, I never want to be on the other side of that again. They're not to be messed with. Interviewer. And now that Trump has said Mexico is on the list, do you think the situation will change in Latin America? Security guard. Definitely. Everyone is already talking about this. No one wants to go through what we went through. Now everyone thinks twice. What happened here is going to change a lot of things, not just in Venezuela, but throughout the region. The Pentagon has worked on a wide variety of non-kinetic concepts. One of the most high-profile efforts was the millimeter-wave active denial system, often dubbed the pain beam. It was designed to project focused energy capable of causing intense discomfort, forcing crowds or hostile individuals to retreat from distances of several hundred meters. Although a number of these systems were produced and deployed for testing in limited use, none achieved lasting operational success. In practice, the active denial system proved to be logistically cumbersome. Mounted on a large truck platform, it was costly to operate and required significant setup time. Most notably, the system needed several hours to warm up before it could generate its directed energy output, severely limiting its usefulness in fast-moving or unpredictable situations. These constraints, combined with public controversy and deployment challenges, ultimately restricted its adoption. It is possible that the system has been refined and used by U.S. military. Another possibility is LRAD, or Long-Range Acoustic Device. The LRAD is a highly directional acoustic hailing and warning system designed to project focused sound over long distances. Developed in the early 2000s, it was initially intended for maritime security, allowing crews to communicate with or deter approaching vessels before situations escalated. Unlike conventional loudspeakers, LRAD concentrates sound into a narrow beam, making messages intelligible at ranges of several kilometers. This precision enables operators to issue clear verbal commands, alerts, or warnings to specific targets without broadcasting indiscriminately to surrounding areas. Output can exceed 150 decibels at the source, enabling effective communication far beyond the reach of megaphones. At close range, high-intensity sound can cause pain, temporary hearing impairment, and disorientation, raising ethical and legal questions about proportionality and safety. Manufacturers emphasize that LRAD is primarily a communication tool rather than a weapon, though it has sometimes been termed as sonic cannon. Although the Venezuelan Guard initially believed that a sonic weapon had incapacitated his unit, the cause may have been something entirely different. The symptoms reported during the Venezuela incident align more closely with the effects typically associated with EPIC-style electromagnetic disruption. The Electromagnetic Personnel Interdiction Control (EPIC) system was a conceptual, non-lethal directed energy technology reportedly developed under a U.S. Marine Corps-related research contract. Unlike conventional crowd control or incapacitation tools that rely on kinetic force or sound, EPIC was designed to use radio frequency electromagnetic waves to disrupt the human body's balance and spatial orientation systems. According to descriptions in patent filings, EPIC aimed to interfere with the vestibular system, the inner ear mechanism responsible for equilibrium, coordination, and stable vision. The concept relied on the idea that the microscopic hair cells inside the inner ear could act as unintended radio antennas when exposed to specific electromagnetic frequencies. By stimulating these structures, the system would excite and interrupt the normal process of human hearing and equilibrium, causing severe disorientation. The intended effect was not pain in the conventional sense, but functional incapacitation. Affected individuals would reportedly be unable to stand, walk, or maintain visual focus. Symptoms were expected to include vertigo, the sensation of a spinning environment, loss of balance, nausea, and extreme motion sickness. In severe cases, targets might collapse and be unable to regain their footing or aim a weapon. One of the features that made EPIC conceptually attractive to planners was that, unlike acoustic devices, radio waves can pass through walls and other obstacles, allowing the system to affect targets without direct line of sight. Despite these claims, there is no public evidence that EPIC progressed beyond early laboratory or theoretical stages. In the 90s and early 2000s, the Pentagon poured resources into the Joint Non-Lethal Weapons Directorate, now rebranded the Joint Intermediate Force Capabilities Office. Their task was to develop non-lethal or less lethal weapons that would disable or incapacitate people without harming them. U.S. has the largest military budget and most capable military-industrial complex. It is not hard to imagine that the U.S. military has certain secretive weapons which have never been openly demonstrated, fielded, or officially acknowledged as operational. It is possible that such a weapon has been used in this case, and we might have details about it some years down the road. But this particular account seems more of a propaganda designed to play physiological games, especially directed at Mexico. Just hours after the U.S. overthrow of Nicolás Maduro, The Venezuelan leader accused of narco-terrorism, U.S. President Donald Trump suggested he could expand his military campaign to Mexican drug trafficking groups. He told the TV show Fox and Friends, "We have to do something about America's southern neighbor," noting the Mexican government had repeatedly rejected his offer to take out the cartels. Trump later reiterated his stance, saying he would soon target cartels on land. He told Fox News, "We've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by water, and we are gonna start now hitting land with regard to the cartels."